This whole thing, man, this week about Mark Zuckerberg renting out the UFC Apex, man. Have you been following this?
I just heard about it today from Mackenzie Dern stuff. That's pretty wild. Um, it's interesting because it was like what only a couple weeks ago that he posted that video of him training or whatever. But definitely interesting. I wonder what that's gonna mean for the sport and for UFC overall.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. I've been hearing things behind the scenes that it's something to do with the metaverse, and I have no idea what the metaverse is. Do you know anything about the metaverse?
That's their like VR. Um, I don't know. It's like VR chat, but Facebook's version. It's kind of a weird deal. So I don't know. I wonder if they're trying to do some fights in there or something. Um, we'll see. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely interested to see how that kind of develops.
Are you inside of a tent?
Yeah, it's like it's an altitude tent. I've been sleeping during camp. Yeah.
Oh, what does that do for you? What's the benefits of that?
So essentially, like I'm able to sleep at altitude, which is supposed to be like the best way for, it builds up your red blood cells and stuff. But it's the best way to get that altitude adaptation and all that, rather than just training there for an hour or whatever. So just sleeping at the lower oxygen level is supposed to be really good for your cardio and recovery and all that. So I've been, just doing that, test it out, and yeah, I feel like it's definitely been a cardio benefit for sure.
So that's something you implemented for this camp?
Yeah, I just got it like last month or something, and been sleeping in a tent ever since.
All right, man. I love it, man. You're probably a camping guy too, as well. So it's isn't you like it. It's all good.
Yeah, every now and again.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Wonder Boy said it was great, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
All right, man. Before we get into your fight coming up, I wanted to ask you about International Fight Week. We
Mm.
haven't had one since the pandemic hit, right? So how wild was that week for you?
It was definitely cool. It's kind of it was one of the first times really where I've got to kind of see the benefits or like do the cooler part of being in the UFC besides just fighting, like getting to interact with the fans and getting to do all this cool like exclusive like behind the scenes stuff was definitely like a crazy experience and I'm super thankful for it. Yeah, all the fans were great. Vegas was crazy the whole time. Just a ton of fight fans getting to watch that card. It was just it was pretty wild overall, and I'm definitely hyped to get to do it next year, hopefully. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, and I saw that you got to work with Booger Beard. How was
Oh
that
yeah,
whole deal?
yeah. It was he was doing some stuff with me and Fight Pass, and it was a great time. Yeah, he's a good dude, and I think he's boxing somebody coming up. So we'll see how that goes for him.
You're not coaching him? You're not training him?
He's asked me some stuff. So I've done some online coaching, I guess, but I don't know that I'll be flying down to Vegas. I think it's probably pretty close to when my fight is. So
Yeah, it's always cool to see people interacting with I don't know what you call him, is he a fan? Is he a personality? Is he media? It's he's like everything in one.
he's a little bit of everything, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. Did you do any training when you were in Vegas?
See, I stopped by Extreme Couture to train with some of those guys. I just did like a nogi class. I think Jake Shields was teaching it, so it was a good time. You definitely kind of have to be wary of training at a gym like Extreme Couture for the fact that like they everybody there is trying to get to UFC or like they're already in UFC and you might have to fight these guys at some point. Um, but no, it was a great time down there and I definitely had a good time training.
All right, man. Let's talk about this fight coming up October 29th, just a few days before Halloween. You return to action against Steve Garcia. Thoughts on his UFC run and the style that he possesses?
Um, I think he's had a ton of success in the past. Earlier in his career at 35, I believe. I think he has a win over Ricky Tercios. He's fought some guys at 35. And then I want to say his contender fight might have been at 45, and he missed weight for that. So he won, but he didn't get signed. And then UFC gave him some fights at 55. He's 1-2 in UFC right now. I want to say all those have been at 55 so far. But his one win, I really wasn't. Not to take anything away from that win, but he fought Ontiveros, who in that fight had pretty much no grappling whatsoever. So I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to beat me with that style, the way that he beat Ontiveros. Um, but he's another taller guy, so I'm going to be able to play around maybe on the feet a little more, or at least just kind of feel the range change against like a taller guy rather than fighting all these shorter guys. So that'll definitely be a fun thing to kind of test out on my end. And then, yeah, I think truly I can win the fight wherever it goes. So it's just kind of trusting my instincts and trying to keep the pace high and just try to push him for that 15 minutes and hopefully be able to you know get out of there before the decision, but just win with whatever I need to do, whatever it takes.
Yeah, and the last three fights, the ones at 155 for him, which fight do you feel like you learned the most about Garcia?
um Probably his longest fight was the he fought Luis Pena. Just kind of seeing how he grappled against a guy like that, who I wouldn't say Luis Pena is necessarily a grappling specialist. Um, I think of him more as a striker. But definitely, yeah, just getting to watch like more cage time is always a great thing. Where like the Ontiveros fight, he was fighting a guy that didn't really have any grappling, and those are always easy nights if you're the grappler in that situation. And then his last fight against the Chinese guy, I believe. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that was a pretty quick, like a minute or two for a knockout. So it's hard to really judge those because again, like it's all about seeing that guy's style kind of develop over the 15 minutes rather than just seeing like these little couple minute clips. Yeah, I think that's definitely the fight.
Before your last fight against Felipe Corrales, you had 11 months off, which for a fighter like you, a young guy, we always want to see how much you have developed throughout that time. What parts of your skill set do you feel like you got to work out in that fight?
I worked on like a little bit of everything. I feel like I improved my striking, I improved my wrestling. I kept my jiu-jitsu sharp. I didn't even go in there necessarily with a specific game plan. I was just kind of again like the same thing I'm trying to do for this fight. Just trust in myself and have that confidence. That was a huge factor for me going into it. I truly felt confident walking into the cage, and that again I felt I could win wherever the fight went, and that's really like one of the first hurdles you have to conquer in fighting is like trusting yourself and being confident, and then because both of these guys, both you and your opponent are scared, and if you're the one that's more confident and more willing to go out there and put it on the line and, take some risks, then, a lot of times that ends up getting you the win. And I truly felt the mindset and the mentality shift is really what got me the win in the Colares fight. Yeah, I just came in more confident than I have for any fight ever. And I think that truly has been the biggest, it's had the biggest impact on my career in the past, year.
Confidence is an interesting thing because a fighter can go into a fight very confident in their skills and then lose in 10 seconds, right? And it's what they do after that is important, right, to further their career. Have you like struggled with that confidence beforehand? You know what I mean? Like, or was the confidence like always there?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of fights where I felt like, you're being walked to your like execution, that type of thing. Like you don't feel any confidence at all. Um, but yeah, like honestly, this last one was really the only time that I felt super confident, and like ready to, just go out there and get it done. And really trust in my abilities rather than just being like, all right, well, we'll see what's gonna happen. And just trying to like, I don't know, because the fear really definitely helped you kick it up a notch, but the confidence I felt so much more. I could kind of like sit back and watch and like be more objective with what was happening and make the adjustments that I needed. Um, rather than just having it necessarily be like a whirlwind when you're, in more of a stressed or like anxious mentality. Yeah, it's all good.
Do you feel like things have slowed down in the cage for yourself, or does it ever feel like it's slow?
I mean, the fights always go really fast. Like when you look back at it, I mean, it's only 15 minutes, so it's like it goes so fast, anyways. But I feel like I've been able to be more present, or at least uh, like more confident and not really holding back as much, like not second guessing myself for any really any of the movements or anything, and making those adjustments because I'm not so focused on what could go wrong. I'm more just trying to be focused on like imposing my will on the guy and getting that win.
Yeah, for sure. And combat sport and fitness, that's your home. How has training been there?
Yeah, it's been great. Like last camp and this one, I have a guy, a welterweight, Shane White Eagle. I've been doing a ton of grappling with him. I always like grappling with really big guys like that. Because then you get in there and you're like, oh, this dude isn't very strong, like at least not by comparison to this 190 200-pound guy I've been grappling for the past couple months. But yeah, our team's getting built up. We got a ton of good guys coming out of there, and yeah, it's been great training for sure.
Have you been noticing fighters coming into your gym wanting to train with you because you have gained some popularity and notoriety in the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will kind of like hit me up and be like, oh, hey, can I come in, and then they just never show up. That's just kind of the way MMA gyms are, anyways. And we're a little bit out of the way, so I don't think a ton of people are making the trek out. Not yet, at least. But yeah, doors always open for getting some good high level guys in for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of like going out and getting training, you've been going to Wonder Boy's gym, and I feel like a few times during this camp. Have you been there? How many times?
I went once so far during this camp, and I'm actually heading back out there next week. Um, I feel like the 2 times within the 8 weeks is always good. Getting the higher level striking, like just in the sparring partners and all that. And they have really good wrestling out there too. So just getting different looks and training with the high level guys that they have out there. And obviously, getting my own striking tuned up, getting my own wrestling tuned up. It's always great, and then I feel like I can kind of give them a different look. So it's not just me taking the whole time. I feel like I'm able to give back with like a different style. So yeah, it's always great out there, and everybody's the Southern hospitality is definitely big out there. So it's always a great time.
Yeah, is Wonder Boy Thompson underrated as a coach?
Um, I think he's honestly he's not quite in the coaching role yet. I feel like his dad still runs the show, uh, and he's super underrated for sure. He's an old school karate guy. He's definitely got a drill instructor type personality to him. But I don't know. That's always I've always liked and kind of gravitated towards guys with that personality. Like they're just trying to make the team stronger, and I feel that's always something that I've enjoyed is you know having to grind with everybody while you're getting yelled at, and it just I feel like it makes for a good training atmosphere for me at least.
It's like having David Goggins in the gym or something.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, your debut, man. You got the first round finish, but your last two wins have been third round stoppages. What are you seeing in this fight against Steve Garcia?
Honestly, I'm really kind of trying to trust myself and know that like I'm gonna get the win however it happens. Like it's more how does he want to come out against me, and then I'll get the win from there. I think I don't know. Like I think these last couple the third round stoppages just show that I'm always looking for a finish. So it's not like I'm going into round three like, oh, all right, I'm gonna lay on top of him and try to eke this one out. I'm always trying to get the finish. I'm always trying to keep the fight exciting. And I think regardless of what happens, the fans will definitely have another fun fight to watch. And yeah, I think it'll be a good one. Nah.
you I think you proved to the fans and whoever's watching that you have the dog inside you. You know what I mean? You've went through some, some adversity in the cage and come back and win fights. So I don't think like fighters need that. But do you feel like you still want to do that? You still want to go in there and like mix it up? Do you have that feeling sometimes?
I don't know. I feel like that's something that I've really had from day one is I've always been able to, be resilient and not like break mentally, I guess. I'm always in the fight. I'm always trying to look for that win. Um, but I don't know. I a perfect fight is you go out there, guillotine them in 10 seconds and call it a night. I'm not really looking to like put any crazy mileage on my body if I don't need to. Um, but if the night requires that, it's always nice to have that in the back pocket and know that I can go these, the 3 rounds and eat these shots and just kind of walk the guy down and get the win. Like again, however it comes. Yeah, I don't know. It's a nice little confidence boost to always have that in the back pocket.
For sure. Not everybody has it. We know that. Not everybody has that. You're fighting at the end of October, which means there's November, there's December. I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna take those months off. You got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got New Year's Eve. Are you gonna enjoy that whole span?
We'll see. It's been honestly the past like 7 or 8 years. I've always had a competition like either late November or early December, so I haven't been able to enjoy the holidays. So now, yeah, now I'll be able to kind of sit back and like go hard for all the food. Definitely enjoying Halloween, definitely Thanksgiving, Christmas, making the most of it for sure. Uh, yeah, that's gonna be an underrated part to fighting in late October here for sure.
Go in there and get a 50G check, and then go on vacation, take the wife out wherever she wants to go, and all of that good stuff.
That's the goal for sure.
Yeah, yeah. One last topic, man. You came from the Contender Series very young. They just recently signed a 17-year-old kid, a teenager. I don't want to call him a kid, a teenager to the UFC. When you heard that, when you saw that, from your perspective, what'd you think about the development of the game now, where you got 17-year-olds in the UFC?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I think UFC's confident enough in being able to build up a guy like that within UFC, rather than doing something like where me or like Mackenzie Dern. I think Greg Hardy also got like the developmental deals. I think UFC's confident enough that they can build these guys up properly. And he had a good fight. He definitely showed off some really solid grappling. I was looking at his record. I've seen that he's like competed against guys like Gianni Grippo, like really high level jiu-jitsu guys. So he's definitely got the experience for sure. I'm definitely excited to see what his next fight looks like and kind of how his UFC debut ends up looking for sure.
Yeah, man. You guys are the next generation, right? You guys are the new crop coming up, and it's great to see. October 29th, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. Chase, appreciate the time. All the best in the fight, man.
Yeah, good talking to you. Appreciate it.